Good day, all, and welcome to another edition of Local Legislator Live at 11. I am your host, Charles Gates, where our mission here at locallegislator.net is to be the premier source of local election information in the United States and an advocate for the sustainability of local businesses nationwide. This morning, we are honored to have the one and only Jennifer Einolf, the owner and founder of Bold Whisper out of Richmond, Virginia. At least that's where she's based. Good
That's right.
morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. None of us are actually only one place right now, are
That's
we?
right. We are borderless everywhere. That, you know
Absolutely.
what, that's the joy of this. If there's a light to be found in this COVID pandemic environment, it is the fact that we are now
Yeah,
borderless if we're able to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, welcome,
Absolutely.
Jennifer. Welcome so much, so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
All right, good. Well, they're going to jump right into this and tell
Right.
us about your career leading up to Bold Whisper.
Certainly. So in the way back when, I was a commercial interior designer. So I worked designing hospitals and universities and corporations all around Virginia. Actually, I was based here then as well. And it was always a really great career for me, except there was a sense that it was what they used to say, close but no cigar, that it was big parts of it were exactly what I wanted to be doing, and parts of it really weren't in alignment with what I was good at or what I really wanted to be doing. And so I started to think about it, and I realized that the parts I really liked are the parts that are exactly the same as coaching. The part where the client comes to you with a story. We need a conference room for 50 people, and you believe the story, but you get super curious about, well, what else is true and what else could be true. And so I pursued coaching. I went and got my certifications, and it's been an amazing ride. So I tell people that I went from exterior interior design to interior interior design, just moving the furniture around in your head instead of in your space.
Very interesting concept. Now, how long have you been in business?
I started my business actually in 2012 before I pursued my coaching certification. And for a while, I knew I wanted to be in business. I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I knew that I needed to do my training. And so to sustain that, to keep the business open, I was doing online media consulting with churches and small businesses because it was something I had learned running a different business. It was all in service of getting to this place. So that was, I started Bold Whisper in 2012, and I finished my certification, my training in 2015, and transitioned the business in that direction at that point. So, it's agility. You can start in one place with an eye on going another place and just keep moving. And that's what I did.
Now, what services do you offer there at Bold Whisper?
Absolutely. So I am a coach. I work one-on-one with amazing people to design clarity so that they can execute their visionary leadership and design livable success, live inside of their success. So one-on-one coaching. I also do some facilitation, so training with groups, and I do speaking. I speak on these topics that are so important to all of us, and leading ourselves and then leading others, and living into a life that's worth having, where you can thrive body, soul, and bank account inside your success. So speaking, coaching, consulting.
Body, soul, and bank account. I don't think I've
That's
ever
right.
heard it quite put
That's
that
right.
way. Put that way.
So many of us are living a success that somebody else prescribed, and it's an itchy, uncomfortable, or even painful place. You can actually set your life up so that you're maximizing your impact on the things that matter to you, and live in such a way that you actually enjoy it, that you're thriving.
That's a good way of looking at it. Now, who would benefit the most from your coaching?
I work predominantly with leaders who are called on to be that disruptive force. So visionary leaders, only about 20% of us are visionary. This idea that you can see something that other people can't see, which means that your responsibility as a visionary is to figure out how to get that vision as clear as possible. Clarity coaching. Get it as clear as possible so that you can cast that vision, so that your team can follow, so that the thing that you see can change in the world can actually change, because you can't do it by yourself. So I work with leaders in corporate settings, in government, government leaders all over the country. I work with founders especially getting ready for a venture pitch or getting ready to really help the team see what the vision is, and even nonprofit advocates. So in higher ed, I have some clients in higher ed too. Universities are changing rapidly, and leaders are being brought in to make these rapid changes in organizations that are very traditional. And how do you manage that difficult pivot point? I mean, all of our institutions are challenged right now. We need these visionary leaders, but bringing in a visionary leader or being the visionary leader is sometimes an uncomfortable space. So who works best with me is somebody who has a sense, even if it's still a little bit fuzzy, that there's something you're here to do, and it's going to be done differently, your way, this thing that you can see. If you need to figure out how to get that clear and then figure out how to communicate that clearly, then this is something that we need to talk about.
Now, you've mentioned clarity approximately 3 times already. Talk a little bit about clarity design cycle.
Sure. I came up with a system to explain what I do, and it's the clarity design cycle. As I said, I was an interior designer, and there's a design cycle that designers understand, that creative thinkers use to implement change. And so I started thinking about, well, if I'm going to do this interior design, how does that look? So the clarity design cycle is this idea that it's basically 4 phases. Something provokes a change. Either you're going to rise to an opportunity or you're going to rise to a challenge, but something needs to change. So something provokes change. And the first step, and this is the step everyone skips, you have to perceive, where am I? What is the question I'm really solving for? What are my resources and my limitations, my constraints? So we spend a little time in that perceive area. And perception is so important because the actions you take are based on what you even see as possible. So we look for aha moments there where we can shift your perspective, the way you're seeing the world. Then we move into prepare. So how do you beta test an idea? How do you brainstorm well? How do you figure out if you've got the path prepared for success? Then we pursue. Then we go into implementation. And so at the end of implementation, guess what? We go back into provoke, because we learn lessons from going through that cycle that help us go through the cycle again. Our lives are one long lather, rinse and repeat of learning, change, and then provoking the next new thing. And that's really what that cycle is. But it's tied to, interior changes, the changes in mindset, the changes in how you understand your place in the world or what is even possible. And then also the exterior changes. How do you learn to communicate well? How do you implement change? How do you manage your own change willpower, maybe, or the way that you're showing up as a leader of yourself and of your team? So that cycle is there to help us understand where we are. It's almost a map of the landscape when we're managing change.
You gave us a 4-step process. Speaking of numbers, describe the 9 prospects of possibility and how they support the clarity design cycle.
Yeah. So interestingly, when I was first thinking through all of the necessary things, I started keeping track. Started keeping track of the keys that are necessary for change, and they line up beautifully with that design cycle. So there are nine key things that ride along with those 4 phases, and they're things like prep the path, which lives in that prepare area. Are you really setting yourself up for success? Or, refresh the body connection. You have wisdom in your body. There's things that your body is telling you. Are you actually paying attention? So we know this intuitively. If you smile, even if you're not happy, you'll start to feel happy. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your body are all connected. And so there are prospects of possibility around those things, around emotion and language and habits of body. So the 9 prospects of possibility, I write an article every week, and each month there's a theme. This month it is that refresh the body connection is the theme, because these are the areas of wisdom and inquiry and experimentation that allow us to really understand all the different aspects of how we level up as people and how we level up our leadership.
Now, if you are a listener and you like these interviews, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, connect with us on Twitter and Instagram, and like our Facebook page. Remember to leave us a comment telling us what or who you would like to hear from. Now, Jennifer, tell
Yes.
us about visionary leadership and livable success and how they work together.
Absolutely. So as I said earlier, when you have a vision, it's very easy to just slough it off and say, oh, I don't know why I'm seeing that. The world needs you to step into your vision. Think about the times where you had a vision for something really amazing, and then 6 months later, somebody was selling it on the internet. That was a vision that you had that you didn't step into. Visionary leadership is that place where you can see something that other people can. Some people are consistently visionary, but I believe that everybody has visions. Everybody has something that is the place where all the things that you've learned and all the things that you are gives you this unique perspective and you can see something. So leaning into your visionary leadership means growing the character and the skills that are necessary to take that thing that you see, to apply action consistently, and to inspire others to come with you, because you really can't create a reality from a vision all by yourself. You need other people. So it's those skills of communicating and continuing to inspire and continuing to make that vision clear. That's visionary leadership. And it's so necessary right now. We are in so much flux and so much change that the only way forward is to go to things we haven't seen before. It's that intersection between the wisdom that we've acquired and the imagination to see what that could mean moving forward. We all need to lean into our visions and figure out how to execute on them. But while we're doing that, if we aren't creating livable success, we're in a lot of trouble. You have to be nurtured by your own life. If you're not, whatever that vision is, you're not going to have the energy to continue to sustain the execution piece. So it's not just self-care, it's self-investment. If we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't figure out how to lean into work that feeds us rather than depletes us, more time than not all work is going to feed us. But if we don't figure out how to create a balance sheet that pushes us towards a success we really enjoy living inside of, we're going to stop. Our bodies will stop us. Our minds will stop us. We're just going to stop. And we can't afford to have the visionary leaders in our world stop. And so how do you hit that balance between having the impact you're here to have and making sure that the life you're leading is fulfilling in every possible way? That's what we work on.
Now, can you talk about your training and specifically ontological coaching? Now, personally,
Ontological coaching, yes.
let me tell you, Jennifer, I had never heard of that phrase before. And I believe it or not, I had to practice it before we came on air.
Ontological coaching, yeah. So I'm trained by an organization called Newfield Network. They're a 30-year-old coaching school out of Boulder, Colorado. And the ontological method it's a philosophical term, but it's based on the idea of being and doing. So in the ontological method, the idea is that we've had this experience. It's based on a common experience. There's something in your life you don't like, so you take an action to fix it, and it doesn't fix it. It might even make it worse. So then you say, okay, well, I'm going to try something else. So you try something else, and you end up at exactly the same point. You've created the same outcome using different action this time. Well, why is that? Well, in ontological coaching, we understand that the reason is further upstream, that the observer that we are, the way we look at the world has a lot to do with exactly which actions we will take, and sometimes even how we're going to drive towards our outcomes. So we look at habits of mind. What words are we using? Do we remember that our words are generative, that we're creating new realities when we use words? We look at our habits of emotion. Our emotions create a predisposition to act. If you're angry and somebody says something to you, you're going to respond differently than if you're content or excited. So how are our emotions impacting how we're even understanding what's possible? And then body, same thing. I talked about that earlier, that the way we live in our bodies has an impact on how we live our lives. So I work with my clients to create those aha moments. It's shifting how we're operating in those three ways. And then all of a sudden something shows up that's been hiding in plain sight. So work with clients to decide, okay, well, now that I see this new thing, what am I going to do about it? What experiment am I going to run? What habit am I going to try to build? Or how do I take advantage of this? How do I create new action? Because maybe this is the path to that new outcome that I want. So it's this way of going deeper into mindset, and it's how we often talk about it. How am I seeing the world? Because that really does change how you're living in the world. So that's basically ontological coaching. It's a big, scary word, but it comes from a very common experience.
And being and doing.
Being and doing at the same time.
Very simple.
Building the airplane and flying it at the same time, which is basically what life is.
That's right. Now, Jennifer, how can our listeners contact you? And is there anything else you want our listeners to walk away with?
Absolutely. So I would love to connect with you. Please go to boldwhisper.com, my website. And if you scroll down on the front page, there's a sign up. I send out an article every week that is on some aspect of what I'm discovering and what my clients are discovering in the world. I'd love to have you participate there. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Jennifer Einolf on LinkedIn, very active there. But I would love to have a conversation, just explore possibilities. I love hearing from people and hearing how these principles, these solid principles, are impacting their lives. So please participate in the way I'm interacting with the world each week. And then the takeaway is, as I said, these are very complex times, but they're always complex times. Just sometimes it's easier to see it. It's what we do to understand ourselves and the way we see the world that unlocks our ability to have a greater impact on the world. So our responsibility is to understand our vision, to make it as clear as possible, and then go help the world by helping other people help you execute that vision.
Wow. You talked about clarity, design, cycle, visionary leadership, livable success, ontological coaching. You
Yeah,
have left us thinking deeply, more deeply than we first would have thought about an hour ago.
good.
And being and doing.
Yeah, being
Who
and
knew?
doing.
And you know
That's
what,
right.
Jennifer, so much of what you said should be in the back of most of our minds anyway. And
Yeah,
sometimes it just takes someone like you to bring that out. Say, hey, you already think this way. I'm helping you to get there.
yeah. I mean, that's the coaching partnership, is that two people bringing their whole selves into the room, and I'm bringing myself to invest in you, to take whatever curiosity and perspective I bring into the room, and you're bringing everything that is you. And when two people invest in a partnership, more is possible than either one could get by themselves. I can't tell you how to be clear, and you probably can't be clear without honing that sharpness against a sharp rock. I'm the sharp rock. So yeah, absolutely. The coaching partnership is so critical for moving forward.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer Einolf, aka Sharp Rock.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us more about Bold Whisperer and yourself. If you are listening to us right now, this is Local Legislator Live at 11. We come to you every Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock, live and in color on Facebook through this Zoom environment. We are, again, a component of locallegislator.net, where our mission is to be the premier source of local election information in the United States and an advocate for the sustainability of local businesses nationwide. Again, connect with us on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Local Legislator LLC. And remember to leave us a comment. Tell us what you want to hear next, and we will do our best to get it to you. Again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here.
Thank you.
Listeners, we will see you tomorrow, bright and early at 11 o'clock in the morning, where we will have as our guest Kim Southerth. She is the Virginia organizer of the nonprofit organization Mothers Out Front. It will be a lively conversation. Again, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will see you then. And until then, take care of yourself. And remember, we're not global, we are local. Locallegislator.net. Local Legislator Live at 11. I'm Charles Gates, your host, signing out. Take care, guys. See you till then. Bye.